An apology in court this week for an error in a high-profile sentencing. A judge said she miscalculated the credit for time already served by the man responsible for the University of Waterloo stabbing attack, and that incorrectly shortened his sentence. CTV's Heather Senoran is here now with more on this story. Heather, how big of a miscalculation are we talking about here?
Well, it is typical for time served to be taken into account during any sentencing, Tony. But in this case, Villalba-Aleman's sentence was shortened by almost 2 years by mistake instead of almost 1 year for time served. The judge saying the error was strictly mathematical and administrative.
Because it was me.
Giovanni Villalba-Aleman was back in court after being sentenced to 11 years for stabbing 3 people at the University of Waterloo in 2023. But this time it was because of an error the judge who sentenced him admitted to making. Mr. Villalba-Aleman, to you, I owe an apology. Justice Frances Brennan said to him on Monday she admitted to giving him too much credit for his time spent in jail, saying, I calculated the actual days of pre-sentence custody as 627 days and then granted an additional 627 days of pre-sentence custody. This effectively gave Mr. Villalba-Aleman credit at a rate of 2 to 1 for each day he had served in pre-sentence custody. But it was supposed to be calculated at 1.5 to 1, which is typical for cases like this.
And the reason we do that is because typically an individual serves 2/3 of their sentence before being released on statutory release. And so it's meant to put the person who pleads guilty before spending time in pretrial custody in the same position that they would be in terms of the actual number of days you spend in prison.
Boris Batensky, the president of the Criminal Lawyers Association of Ontario, is not involved in the case and says while it's an unusual error, it's likely not rare.
I'm sure it's happened before. I don't know that it's happened before in a case that's high profile and being followed by the media and by members of the community. So the fact that it happened is just a reflection of human error that occasionally pops up in every industry, and including the criminal justice system.
According to the judge, while the error was certainly unintentional and regrettable, it is nonetheless a pure mathematical error. One that was corrected Monday, as during sentencing, Justice Brennan did mention the rate she meant to credit time served.
What would be potentially more controversial is if she had not said the basis upon which she's calculating pretrial custody, and then after the fact said, oh, I didn't mention it at all, and I'm calculating it in a certain way. If that was to occur, that would probably be improper and something that could be dealt with by way of an appeal.
In the end, everyone agrees Villalba-Aleman now has 3,074 days left to serve, or 8.4 years. The judge said in the future she will not calculate pre-sentence custody on her own. She will have other parties do it instead.
Villalba-Aleman will be eligible for parole mid-2028. Once released, he will likely be deported. He was an international student at the University of Waterloo.